very much to our polite band. Please give them a warm welcome. And how wonderful to see our Penola Town Square filled with so many lovely faces as we gather for a very special moment in Penola. Visitors from far and wide, I'm told, Eyre Peninsula, York Peninsula, Tasmania, the high country in Victoria, and those who've made the trip down from the Big Smoke, how wonderful to have you in our town this weekend. We have a few apologies. The member for Barker, Tony Passon, is unable to join us today, and the member for McKillop, Nick McBride, and others. My name is Liz Rymel, and it's a great privilege to guide you through this afternoon's proceedings. So great is the strength we possess in our unity, said Penola woman St. Mary McKillop. Like many of the women around her at the time, Sister Mary recognised the importance and value of togetherness, of community and of unity. She showed us that in working together we can create great things. And today we recognise the spirit of individuals, the spirit of community, and the spirit of a collective of women whose generosity of spirit has shaped Penola and whose lives and achievements live forever. As we arrive at the summit of the journey by the Penola Town Square Working Group and the unveiling of this important sculpture, which rightly takes its place here in the heart of this town, we have still ahead of us the chance to walk our way through the tales and stories and tributes of the women remembered as a part of it, and those among us who carry their spirit of generosity forward. Women who, in the words of St. Mary McKillop, never saw a need without trying to do something about it. From founding members of the Penola, Coonawarra and surrounding districts, to women whose resilience and strength of character came to the fore in challenging times, and to the women of the current generation, some of whom are here to see this sculpture unveiled today. Women who embody the name chosen for the tribute, Spirit of Generosity. We also uniquely honour and thank groups of women whose collective efforts are perfectly captured in this tribute work and whose legacy will endure with it. As I was reading narratives of the women and the groups who've been remembered in this project, I was enthralled in their stories. There are striking examples of courage, tenacity and determination, pioneering women of the land, wartime women who contributed in spite of personal tragedy, women of profound intelligence, of compassion, entrepreneurial women who created economic vibrancy in this country town so far from the Big Smoke. And there are some absolutely golden moments of humour and wit in their stories, which I encourage you to go on and read. If you take a walk up to St Andrew's Presbyterian Church just up the way, you'll notice a beautiful stained glass window featuring Christ the Good Shepherd with lambs at foot. Look a little bit closer, however, and you'll notice that Jesus is wearing a set of moleskins and elastic-sided work boots. The only depiction, we reckon, in the world of Christ in his farm duds. And you can thank Mrs. Willis-Warner for that. She almost got away entirely, but narrowly lost the battle to have Christ's face resembling that of her beloved late husband. In that spirit, I'd like you to join me in thanking the Penola Town Square Working Group, led ably by Dr. Anne Johnson AM, for their vision for this project, for helping to tell the stories of Penola women, and for seeing it to virtual completion here today in a $46,000 fundraising effort. I'd also like you to join me in recognising and thanking the major benefactors of this project, the Bownabes family, the Penola and District Branch of the Bendigo Bank, Penola Lions Club, and Kathy Schmidt, and the many donors who've supported the project and who've shared the stories of Penola and Coonawarra women remembered by it. This region is so fortunate to have a long-standing community foundation which makes dreams become a reality for so many communities in the southeast. The Stand Like Stone Foundation has supported this dream and helped to bring it to life. And we thank the board and the staff of Stand Like Stone, some of whom are among us today, for their generosity. The Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal has also generously supported this project, as it does so many worthy causes around Australia, and we also appreciate its backing. I'd now like to introduce Auntie Michelle Jacqueline Furr for the Welcome to Country and for a special insight into the life of one of the women featured in this tribute.
Matakara Wingara, Narinain Michelle Bartarat, Natabini Boandik Palapala, Yurpanain Berana Nulanain Naranga, Nata Panyong ni Wuninunu Karo, Kaka Marata Nuli, Nini Marati Nuli, Maratain Beran. Putama Boandik Dralara, by Kanyul Bakatapanan Puttarini Branura, Woolumwich Jara Maruwich Jara Numarat, Kalayi, Yallawingan. Good afternoon, friends. My name's Auntie Michelle, and I'm a strong Boandik woman. I come from the line of one of the apical ancestors of this area, Annie Bryce. Annie was born in an Aboriginal camp in 1849 at Old Penola Station. She lived all of her life on Boandik country. I too was born on Boandik country at Berrin, Mount Gambier, and currently live at Narunga, Port Macdonald. I would like to pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, past, present and future. I would also like to pay my respects to all other nations living and working on this land. Today is a very special day for me for two reasons. Firstly, to be asked by Dr. Ann Johnson on behalf of the Penola Town Square Working Group Incorporated to perform a Welcome to Country on Pinjunga land, my ancestor Annie Bryce's birth soil, is evidence that reconciliation is happening. Secondly, Auntie Annie Bryce is being recognised today, along with all the other extraordinary local women on this wonderful generosity of spirit sculpture. For our local Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community in the lower southeast, for Boandik and Pinjunga people, this is a moment of immense pride and recognition of one of the apical ancestors has been recognised publicly. Who would have thought? From an Aboriginal camp at Old Penola Station in 1849, a little baby would be born on Pinjunga land, who grew up and went on to become an advocate for her people, standing up for Aboriginal people's rights in the street and vocally in the courts. Thank you to Brooke O'Donnell, Jackie Bateman, Tony Vanderwall, Vicky Castorina from Sydney, Peter Kieselbach and myself from Berrin, Phil Hannell from Adelaide, who donated on behalf of the Jacqueline family, and Margaret Hannell, Blair Hannell from Pianula, and Craig Anstey from Adelaide, who donated on behalf of the Holmes family. Do and thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Michelle, and what a special day for us to have you here with us today and to share the memory of your ancestors as well. And this project was the vision of the Penola Town Square Working Group, but of course, somebody needs to bring that vision to life, and what a marvellous job I think you can agree that he has done. I'd like to welcome Adelaide-based artist Jerry McMahon to talk to you about his work.
Thank you. The wonderful thing about working with a community-based project is the enthusiasm that you find with that. The most terrifying thing about working with community-based projects is the enthusiasm you find working with that. With that, there's accountability. But if you can pull accountability and freedom of expression together, then you can achieve potentially wonderful things. Of course, that's subjective, but anyway, you try. When I was asked to make a piece about the spirit of women, I went and used my children, my girls, as reference. I wanted to make something that showed strength, resiliency, empathy and compassion. What I wanted to achieve this through metaphor and symbolism, but not cliches and stereotypes. So to start with the boots. I think it's really important that we understand that real women and all women work hard, and the boots are the symbol of working hard. The base of the dress, we talked about this with the community, they wanted something that represented the area, and they said the roses are a really important part of the community. But the interesting thing about the rose is also commonly is planted in front of grapevines to protect, as women protect the community. The other thing about roses, they're strong and they have thorns. The dress I particularly made in a pyramid-based shape. And the reason why I did that is the pyramid is a form that represents strength and stability, and the women of the community are the strength and stability of that. Rising up, she's holding a child raised above the head. I think we've all probably done that as parents, where we've taken our children and thrown above our heads. But beyond that, it's also about letting them fly, soar to new possibilities. I also like this, before I wrap up, and I'm going to wrap up very quickly, I would like to thank all the people who volunteered in bringing this project together, because without volunteers, things don't happen. I like to say that I made the piece, I started off as going to make the piece life-size, and Anne said to me, can you make it a bit bigger? And I thought, yes, I can, because I wanted it to be a monumental piece that people can really look at and hopefully enjoy. When I make an art piece, I make it and I start thinking, oh, this is my piece. Then I come here and if I get the opportunity to thank everyone for the opportunity to do it, I hand it off to the community. Now it's your piece. Thank you for having me, though, in your town.
Thank you, Jerry, and it's so wonderful to have you here, especially on this weekend, and we hope that you'll be part of our arts weekend in our community for many years to come. Our next speaker is a Penola woman who barely needs introducing. So much of the part of this fabric of the community she is. Evelyn Bowden is a driving force for the preservation and promotion of our local history, but as well as telling his story, she's also very passionate about telling her stories, and perfectly embodies her mother's motto, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you for the invitation to speak today. Sorry, I have to read this. I was thrilled to hear that so many women have been nominated for commemoration in conjunction with this magnificent sculpture. The earliest report that I have come across of a woman being asked to perform a public duty in Penola was in 1882, when Mrs. W. Macpherson was asked to lay the foundation stone for the first purpose-built council chambers in Penola. No doubt the reason was that her husband had given the land. But who was this woman? What was her name? A researcher could inquire locally or research marriage records for a Mr. W. Macpherson of Penola, maybe eventually finding that a William Macpherson had married an Alexandrina Arnott in Victoria. But was she really the person in question? I don't think that my mother and other married women of her time complained about being referred to in this way, but I do know that I was disappointed that they were not known by their own names, and that records of their involvement in the press, in minute books, publications, and honour boards could forever be a problem regarding who they actually were. Today we are pleased to see the recognition of 21 women with their names recorded in full. I'd like to mention a few of the women featured. Annette Balnaves, well known for her involvement in regional matters. She was awarded the Harry Darling Award for an outstanding contribution to tourism. She was a founding board member of the Stand Like Stone Foundation, which led to the establishment of the Penola Coonawarra Fund. Annette had an interesting career in nursing in Australia and South Africa, and she was an advocate for recognising women's contributions to the community. Gladys Rymal's community involvement includes the Red Cross, Country Women's Association, the Mothers and Babies Health Association as president and life member, the founding of the Penola Marching Girls in 1957 as the first marching girls team in South Australia. They were successful in winning the competition at the 1958 Royal Adelaide Show. She also established the Penola Younger Set, a group of young people who organised many and varied events, including a mock deb ball in 1946, Follies on Broadway in 1947, and the Follies of 48. Just ask Rowan Lynn, he was involved in this, and many others, all to raise money for the new hospital. Chris Dunn, a woman of indomitable spirit, while supporting her husband, our very popular doctor, John Dunn, was a very active community member. As well as being involved in matters medical, she had a great interest in, among others, as a Brownie leader, the Mackay Memorial Kindergarten, the National Trust, Field Naturalist Group, and the swimming pool. I can still see Chris cleaning the algae from the sides of the pool with hydrochloric acid. Alma Elizabeth Moore, mother of 7 boys, who was an excellent cook. For the annual hospital fete, she was known to fill her car with 10 sponge cakes, sausage rolls, jelly cakes, cream horse, brandy snaps, and fruit and vegetable from her own garden. You will be able to see the names of all the women on the plaque eventually surrounding the sculpture. And read the stories on the Water Range Council website, have access via a QR code on site and in the local history collection. To the members of the Town Square Committee, my heartfelt thanks to you all for organising this significant project. It is now my pleasure to introduce our current Citizen of the Year, Wendy Hollick, to officially unveil the sculpture.
Thank you. Women have always been a part of the Coonawarra and Penola landscape and community, although their contribution has often been unrecognised. Where would the men folk have been without someone to support their dreams and give them a family and a home? In the very early days of the district, many women worked outside alongside their husbands, and many girls worked for their families in unpaid and unrecognised roles. Women also became employed as cooks, domestic helpers, governesses, shopkeepers, vineyard and orchard workers, bookkeepers, teachers and nurses, in order to help support their families. This diversity of careers continues to this day, although the list is significantly longer. Once married, the women often lost connection with their family name when they took the name of their husbands. The stories behind the names on the sculpture help make the reconnection with these family names. The stories show the spirit of generosity which these women brought required. I urge you to read these stories and reflect on the contribution these people have made to our lifestyle. Penola Coonawarra is the only district we know of to recognise women in this way. Generosity of spirit is alive and well, and I also acknowledge the members of the Town Square Working Group who have worked hard to make this sculpture a reality. Over 75 people made generous donations, with many family groups contributing to pay tribute to a woman in their family. Thank you to the Wattle Age Council for their support with the job of erecting the Generosity of Spirit sculpture and for maintaining this beautiful space as our town square. I will now unveil the sculpture as a tribute to all the women of our community, past and present. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. It's a wonderful and very special lead up to this unveiling, and what a treasure we have before us. Something to feel truly proud of, and to pause, to reflect, celebrate and inspire many generations of Penola and Coonawarra women to come. On behalf of the Penola Town Square Working Group, I'd like to thank you for joining us here this afternoon and being part of our celebration. I'd also like to ask you to join me in thanking again the hard-working members of that group, the Penola Town Square Working Group, who've not only brought to life this wonderful work, but have created such a heartbeat in the heart of Penola, the town square. I could ask them to please stand so we can acknowledge their work.
Oh, scary.
It's hard, isn't it?
There is one final part of this sculpture that's soon to be added, and it is a circular plaque which will go around the base, featuring the names of some of the women that you've heard about today and whom donors have wished to pay tribute. And that's not far away, so please keep an eye out on the working group's Facebook page or in our local pennant, that final edition soon to come. May I also ask you to join me in thanking Coonawarra at Heart. Now, we've arrived at a very sensible hour of the day to unveil this sculpture and to enjoy some of their hospitality. And as you do, please consider continuing on to admire the CWA mural, which is just up the road, and also stroll past Petticoat Lane, a magnificent and historic part of our community. There's a lot to offer, and I know that you'll spend the day, and it'll be a worthwhile one as you loop around Penola. I'd now like to invite our final and very special friend in Marg Muller to the microphone to recite the poem, What If You Can Fly?
What If You Can Fly by Erin Hansen. There is freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky. And you ask, what if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly?